Welcome to a sample of my virtual author visit. Now, I never record my sessions, so what you're about to see is the actual content of my presentations, but not actual footage. I don't record any of my sessions because I don't want little Jacob or Emma's face all over my website and all over the internet. I value your students' privacy. But unlike most other authors, I encourage you to record my sessions, and I have no problem with it. In fact, I want you to do that because if you record them, then your students can review my presentations over and over and over again the entire school year. So each of my 45-minute virtual author presentations are unique and specifically designed to meet the educational needs and goals of different grade levels. My cadence and vocabulary will vary depending on the audience I'm speaking to. Now that being said, every presentation includes my backstory. Let's begin with all the people that work at my company. First, we have this guy. He's called the author, and his job is to write all the stories for our books. Next, we have the illustrator, and he's responsible for creating all the drawings that go into the pages. Third, we have this gentleman. He's called the designer, and that's just a fancy word for the person that takes the pictures and the words and puts them together to make the page. Sometimes I would draw dragons and dinosaurs. Every once in a while, I would imagine stories in my mind about skeletons and knights and how they would fight each other in outer space. And then some days I would get fancy and I would use pastels, those chalky, messy crayons that get on your fingers and sometimes on your clothes, and I would do sunsets. If you practice drawing a lot, you are going to get a lot better. I guarantee it. There are no secrets, there are no tricks, and there is no magic involved. The only way to improve as an artist is by practicing and practicing and practicing some more. And that's what I did. Because back at that time, I wanted to be a comic book artist. So I would do pictures like this Batman here. Every morning when I would go to class, they would give us an idea. And it was our job to do an illustration about that idea. So on this morning, they asked us to do a drawing that included a superhero that got his powers from a strange source. So I invented a superhero that got all of his muscles whenever he drank coffee. I know, it's very strange. I'm a real professional artist, and I got a job here in the Empire State Building in New York City. I worked all the way up on the 65th floor, almost all the way at the top. And I used to do drawings for a company like these. Drawings about money, drawings about business. They needed me to do illustrations like this. Things about vacation, things about computers. The writing process. I know, it seems sort of kooky, but that's how I do it. The ending is so important that I need to make sure it is totally perfect before I write any of the other parts. But no matter what I'm writing, they all begin like this. A big page of sloppy, messy notes. Everything is spelled wrong. There are X's and arrows and things crossed out, and it is totally okay. Because no one is supposed to see this paper. This is just where I'm working out my ideas, and it's only for me, so it doesn't matter what it looks like. And then I usually write my stories again, and again, and again. I meet students all the time that tell me that they think they can write the perfect story in one try. But they can't, because no one can. That's not how writing works. It's normal to write it once, and then fix it. And then fix it more, and then fix it again, over and over and over. Where ideas come from. And those are the holes that they cut in the street in New York City that go down into the sewer. And sometimes in the winter, steam comes out of them. And that made me think that it looked like the smoke from a dragon's breath. And that gave me an idea. That's the face I make when I get good ideas. But I was thinking, if maybe a dragon lived underneath the street, then could it be possible that there were monsters living all over New York City? So I started to think. Now that I had actually become a writer and I was writing books, I was getting ideas from everywhere. And I want to share some of the places I get my ideas from because it'll help you write your own stories. One of the places that I love finding ideas for stories is from things that I see or things that I hear. And that's where I got the idea for this next book, Everybody Wake Up. One day I was at my friend's house and my friend had a tiny brand new baby. And she also had a little girl. And the baby was sleeping quietly in the crib while me and my friend were talking. And I watched as the little girl snuck across the room, climbed up onto the crib, and for no reason at all, yelled, "Everybody wake up!" right in the baby's face. And the baby woke up crying and the mom was furious. And I thought it was hilarious. So that's where I got the idea for Everybody Wake Up. It was for something that I saw actually happen along with. But next I want to show you Halloween Boy and the Christmas Kid, because I was getting ideas from all over the place now. And another great place for you to find a good idea is from the people around you. That's where I got this idea from. Okay, sometimes if you look at your parents or your grandparents, your brothers and sisters, your teachers, your friends, or even your pets, if you look at all those people, I bet you that you can find that one of them would make an interesting character for a story. How the illustrations are completed. But now I want to show you how I do the drawings. It's very important to know how I do the drawings, and everyone always loves to see this. Every drawing gets done with this, a Sharpie marker. A plain, old, inexpensive, easy to find Sharpie marker. I don't use anything fancy. And I have to do what's called sketches. These are little drawings where I try to figure out what my character should look like, or maybe how they should stand. Here's my dragon. And when I finally like the character, I have what's called a scanner. And a scanner is sort of like a copy machine. You put the drawing on the glass, and then the scanner copies it into the computer, because remember I said I do all my coloring inside the computer. And this is how I do it. First, I finish the background. When the background is done, I color in all the characters. And when that's complete, I add special effects, which for the monster book is the ghost fog that comes when the monsters are present. Okay, so that page is done, and we can move on to the next one. Now this is a picture from Everybody Wake Up. Now even though it's a different book, I always finish the art the same. I do my sketches with my black Sharpie marker. When I like the drawing, it goes into the scanner, and then inside there goes into the computer where I can start my coloring. First we start with the background. When that's done, we move on to all those characters, and when they are finished, we add special effects, which for Everybody Wake Up is the light that comes out when Sunny yells. So every artist has a different process, but for me, this is the steps that I take to create every page for every book that I've ever done. And a preview of a new project in process. Well, what am I working on now? I want to show you what I'm working on now. And it's important for you to see this because it'll show you how all the things I talked about start to come together. But while I'm talking about my newest book, I want you to remember something very, very important. Because the book you're about to see is still all scribbly. Most of the drawings don't have color yet, and it's far from finished. But while I'm telling you this story, let's get started with Bruce the Spruce. And it's about a Christmas tree. But it's also about a family. A family that's leaving New York City and moving to the country because they want to have a bigger house, but also because they're going to have a bigger family. They're about to have a baby. Boom! There's the baby. She's born on Christmas Eve, so they name her Noella. Is named Bruce the Spruce. And every day she plays dolls on Rocco's back, and season after season, the trees look after her, and everyone is happy. So she decides to move to Florida. The problem is, she forgets to tell Bruce. So the next day, the news, the neighbors, and the nosy bodies all gather around for something very, very special. But Bruce can't figure out what it is. And then he does. He smells burning gasoline, and he hears the roar of a rusty chainsaw. 3, 2, 1, and throws an enormous switch, which lights up those thousands of lights, making Bruce even more embarrassed. But there are also parts that will be special for different age levels. For example, K and 1 will get read-alongs. 2, 3, and 4 will get a more in-depth explanation about creativity, commitment, and design. While your older students will receive a more complex explanation on things like story arcs, character development, the process of publishing, and a career in writing. So hopefully those samples helped explain a little bit about how my virtual author visits function. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and ask. But I can assure you of one thing that I know very, very well, and that's that at the end of a day of meeting me through this amazing device called the computer, I guarantee that all of your students, K through all the way up to 8th, will have a better understanding and more tools to take their ideas and know that they can turn those into a very real book. I guarantee it. I have spoken with a lot of students and I have seen the process from all different grade levels, and I love doing it, and I'm sure that at the end of the day you will have more creative, more inspired, and more energetic readers, writers, and artists. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon.